Good evening and welcome to Midnight Movie Club and another Midsommar video. So out of nowhere we got a brand new trailer for Midsommar as we are getting even closer to its release. And in it we get a lot of footage that we have seen before, but we also get a wee bit of new interesting footage. So let's break it down. It kicks off again with a group of mates hanging out on this hillside, talking again about how bright it is for the time of day that it is. To me, it seems like they are all a little spaced out here, a little stoned looking, so this may well be after they take the weird looking drinks from the cult, or have that powder-like drug blown in their face. I just have to mention from the off as well that the music in this trailer, the harps and everything are just on point. I've got a feeling the score for this film is going to be amazing. Anyway, moving on, and we are told that on the longest day of the year that we are welcome and to have a happy midsummer, as we get to see the group welcomed into the village. We then see a lady who seems to be one of the leaders of this village toasting and saying, "Let our feast begin." Once again we have seen this shot before, but just fantastic set design. Then everyone takes some sort of shot, probably something that will come into play throughout the film. We are then told there will be dancing, where we then see the familiar maple dancing being performed again. This is probably to signify the beginning of the festival. This is also where we hear a lot more of that throat singing from the women villagers, and I can just tell in the context of this film that that singing will become terrifying. It's going to be like Charlie's Click from Hereditary. Then the drinking card pops up, where we then see this mysterious beverage being stirred. I've looked into it and it seems flavoured snaps is a very common drink in Sweden for midsummer, so maybe it's just that, or maybe it's something more sinister. Something that along with the drugs keeps the travellers here and makes them take part in the festivities. Next up we have eating, and we can see these long crisscross tables. This is probably the feast to kick things off. Once again, mint set design and real nice looking shot of everyone. We also hear a voiceover from who I believe is Will Poulter's character Josh, saying it's like they're trying to make it gross. Here I would just believe that he is just talking about the food or the drink, or both. Then we get games as we see more villagers holding hands and running around. Somebody asks, I believe it's Simon, what they are doing, to which their Swedish friend responds, they are playing Skin the Fool. Two guesses what the game means, but it doesn't sound good for the fool. That is also what we had read on that mock-up festival poster a week back, so it sounds like someone is definitely getting skinned. I really do wonder who it will be. We also see them chop a bit of wood while the character talks, so maybe that is them testing a piece of weaponry to skin with, or just for another game. We then get a shot of Christian, Danny and Mark all looking over at something with a pretty bewildered look on their faces. I'm pretty sure this is the same area where we see the people jump off of the cliff. This could be the reactions just before or a while after once it is sunk in. Then we get bonding and another look at Danny and this huddle of women villagers screaming for some reason. I really do wonder what they're trying to do with her here. Maybe they're trying to help her get all of her grief out or something like that. I do feel that Danny is important to them somehow. We then see new friends pop up, and that face in the mirror behind Danny again. I think this may be her mum, the person she has lost before going on this trip, and she is seeing her in her nightmares or something along those lines. Moving on, we get a look at the bear in the cage, and sadly it doesn't end well for this bear, I think, as we have seen people dissecting a bear in another trailer. Maybe that could be a different bear though, who knows. I wonder why they have it there though. Is it to fight it, or is it to eat it, or is it for both? Then we have Chanting, and we see the red-headed girl who has a thing for Christian breathing heavily for some reason before cutting to parades, where we get a look at this lady who seems to be leading this cult as they all look up to something. Either this is when the people jump off the cliff and we are watching, or they are watching someone float off. More on that later. I also believe this could be at the end of the film when the cult have completed Midsommar and achieved their ultimate goal. I really don't see this being a happy ending at all. Then we get spells, and this is a very interesting one. We see a male villager blowing that powder into the screen again that we think is the drug that affects people and gives us those weird visuals we've seen in our trailers. But before we see it here, it says spells, not drugs, so maybe this is more of a supernatural than herbal thing maybe. Maybe this guy is some sort of witch doctor. Next we have naps, and once again we have Josh speaking to someone saying, dude, of all the things you could let me sleep through, makes you wonder what he slept through. It could well have been the cliff diving, maybe he's gutted that he missed it. Moving on, we have blood oaths and someone's hand being carved up. And this right here is one of the jumpers, as the two of them are wearing grey, one an old woman and one an old man. I do believe that this jump is to signify the start of the festival, like a necessary sacrifice. It is also the bloody hands we have seen on the rune in other trailers. Next we have risk taking, where we see one of the jumpers once again in all grey falling. Then we have a cheeky wee joke, we get getting high, as once again we see those feet levitate off the ground. Is that what those cult members earlier were looking up to? Who knows, and who is it? Let me know what you think in the comments. We then also get finger painting, and we see, well, finger painting, but then after that we get the most interesting shot in the trailer. We get barbecue. We see the two jumpers, now mangled bodies, being burnt. This seems to end this sort of sacrificial ritual to kick things off, but notice how their heads have been caved in by something like, oh, I don't know, a mallet? Well, next we get clubbing in a shot of big old mate with the mallet. Obviously the jump isn't enough and their heads get malleted afterwards, you know, just to make sure. Then, bingo, the contraption I thought was a lottery type machine seems to be some form of bingo. I still believe you don't want a full house on this one, or it could mean you're in for something horrible. Then, after all that, we hear Danny tell us, that sounds fun, and yes Danny, it bloody does. I can't wait any longer, I'm ready to go. Roll on July 3rd. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you thought of this trailer and just how excited you are for this film. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to join the club. As always, thank you very much for watching, and good night.